Welcome, this is Michelle with PaperStampInk. Thanks for stopping by today, where I'm going to share with you the July 2020 Paper Pumpkin Kit, as well as the alternative projects that I made with that. If you haven't already done so, I'd like to invite you at this time to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell down below so that you don't miss out on future paper crafting videos and tutorials. If you're not familiar with Paper Pumpkin, it's a kit that comes in a box, and every month it's something a little different. So it's always a surprise and we don't know what we're going to get. So first I'm going to walk you through what came in this month's kit, and then we'll get into the alternatives. So they always include a stamp set and a ink spot, so it's a great way to build up your collection if you're just starting out. And this one was meant primarily for parties and party invitations. And so a lot of the sentiments are surrounding that, like it's a party, but then there's also in the RSVP and the when and where, but then there's also things like You Light Up My Life and Oh, the Summer Nights Are All Right with Everything Magic and Bright. So some things you can use all year round, as well as then of course that cute little lightning bug and the lantern and all that stuff that's in there. So you can use these kits as they're intended. They always give you instructions, but I like to give you alternative ideas of what you can do with the kit in case you don't have a need, say for a bunch of party invitations, which is my case. I really don't utilize those as a general rule. So, but you can always get something out of these kits. And so we have a little dimensionals and some thread, and then these fun gold stars. And then this month's kit included these bags, these little party favor bags or tea light bags that you can decorate up. I guess really tea light bags, because there's an opening. Party favors are probably going to fall out unless you mount them. And then these gorgeous panels with all these beautiful colors, night sky type of scenes on them, and then a lot of these already decorated and punch out items that we can put on the card. So I love that. What I usually do is I'll take my kit and I'll punch all those out and have them all ready before I start creating, and then I just kind of go as I'm inspired. And then these jars with the vellum are just gorgeous. It's a very opaque type of vellum, not your super clear, but you can still see things through it. And then we have our sentiment strips, which I love that they always give us more than what we need to complete the projects as intended. So if you ever mess up on one, you've got extras there. And then they do show you the samples of what you can do for an add-on, and those are going to be available for sale. They should be actually, I believe, up now by the time this video is processed. And then we have our instructions where they give you the samples of the cards and the little bags that you can create using the kit. So if you want to do them just like that, then that's great. Or if you want some samples of some alternatives, I will provide those for you. And then it also gives us the colors on the back that coordinate with the kit. So let's go ahead and get ready to jump into our alternative project. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a couple of alternatives together, and then I will show you the other 7 that I completed earlier and how I made those cards. So I had a lot of fun with these in general, and I have to say that one of the things that kind of disappointed me, if you've seen any of my Paper Pumpkin alternatives before, I love to take apart the envelopes because they usually have some pretty colors on the inside, and they didn't this time. So I was rather sad. Stampin' Up, please bring back nice lined envelopes. I would appreciate that. So let's go ahead and get started on this card here. And I am just going to take a bunch of these, oh, we got a little star in there, a bunch of these fireflies and scatter them around in this card. So quick, simple, going to bring in a Jelly Roll pen to draw some lines, and we're going to use our Coastal Cabana to do our sentiment. So let's go ahead and stamp that sentiment, and we will get that part completed. And we're just going to go right down in the middle of this nice big sentiment piece that they gave us. Oh, the Summer Nights Are All Right with Everything Magic and Bright, and that's really fitting with these beautiful little fireflies or lightning bugs. Let me know in the comments below, what do you call them? Fireflies or lightning bugs in your part of the country? I've heard them called both, but where I grew up in the Midwest, everybody referred to them as lightning bugs, or most people did, and we would go out and have so much fun with those on the summer nights. I enjoyed chasing them around, and they were just so magical. And I don't really see them very much up here in the Northwest or in the mountain areas where I live, so I kind of miss that. So we're going to bring in some dimensional tape to pop this up. Let's go ahead and put that on there. Let me know if you guys have memories of going out and chasing lightning bugs or fireflies. Just kind of brings back childhood for me, so they were very magical. And I'm just going to kind of scatter these around a little bit. I want to put a couple of them on here, so let's go ahead and bring our adhesive in, and let's do that first. And then, whoops, got a little heavy-handed there. Need a little bit of this glue, goes a long way for the liquid glue. And let's put another one down here. I love that they gave us so many of these cut aparts in the kit this month. So I am still going to have a bunch of these left over that I'm going to have a lot of fun playing with and making some additional cards. But I had to stop at some point here so I could share these with you guys. Now, most of my sentiments on this one, I actually pulled, either I left the sentiments blank or I pulled them from somewhere else because I just really don't have use, and we're going to trim that one off there. Just wanted something kind of going off the edge of the card. I really just don't have use for a lot of party cards or RSVPs, and that's what most of these were meant to be, is they were meant to be for invitations and postcards, and you put the, you know, all the information on the back of these beautiful cards. So this one, I just love all of the way they've got these gradiated colors in here, but yeah, you're meant to put your information on the back there. And I'm going to come in and let's go ahead and trim these off. But I like to have some cards hanging out that don't have any kind of a sentiment on them at all, because that allows me to use it for whatever occasion and either put a sentiment on it or not at all. Either way is just fine. So they're great to have around for that way. But that's the great thing with these kits, is even if you don't use everything in them, you can still find a lot of great things to do with them. And one of my goals is to always be sharing with you guys some great alternatives for your card kit. All right, so I'm going to put that on there, and I think that that is a little wonky. And let's see if I can peel this up with this mounting tape. Oh no. Here we go. We're going to pry it up enough to shift it here, and it's going to be okay. And I love, they also give us additional ones of these, so if you do too much damage, they always give us extras of the sentiment strips. There we go. I think it still looks a little off because of the way that the fireflies or lightning bugs are on there. And I'm going to bring in a gel pen. If you don't have one of these, they are super handy to have, and I just love them for adding little accents, and in this case just going to add some little trails to show where these guys flew in from. You can do some loops or just straight, it's kind of up to you. So just have fun with it. It just adds that little bit of extra touch on there. And let's see, I've got one more, and I'm just putting some gaps in there, and you don't have to be super precise about this at all. And I'm going to bring in my corner chomper from the Crocodile, and use the 1/4 inch side and just round off these corners to mimic the same rounding of this panel. I just thought that adds a fun little touch. So this is a super quick and simple card, but how much fun would this be to get? All right, put that on there and let's shift that over slightly. There we go. Now I could put on some of these stars that I still have left, but you know, I think there is enough going on with this card as it is. So I try to bring in minimal things from outside the kit, but this time I did bring in a few things other than cardstock in there, like the gel pen and some embossing powders. So this one, I took one of those little jars and excuse me, losing my voice there. And I went ahead and put some of the thin foam strips there on the back. And I know they do show through a little, and I'm okay with that because I think I was able to get the outline pretty well with this item here. And I'm gonna give a little snip here where it's coming across the edge in the front. And I've just got all these little stars that I am going to pull those into the center and make a kind of a shaker. I know this is a little more opaque than a typical shaker, but I still think it'll give a fun effect on there of having all those little stars inside. And so we're just gonna scrunch those up in the middle, and I'm gonna put this somewhat up to the top. Move those down just a tad, because I want to have room to put my sentiment down towards the bottom there. So I think I like that placement. And so now we have our little bit of a shaker there, and I'm going to come in with some of these brighter stars and put these on the outside of that jar. You could put some sequins in there if you wanted as well. You could add some of the lightning bugs in there. I just had a bunch of these stars left over and thought that that would be fun to play with those. Let's go ahead and mount this on the panel. And let's see, I think I'm gonna not round the corners on this one. I did on some of the cards and on others I didn't. Let me know which one you prefer. You think that you like them rounded, not rounded, or a little bit of both. And I'm going to pull in this sentiment that you light up my life. And we'll add that one in this coastal cabana as well onto a strip. I did a couple others with this sentiment, but I didn't do a whole bunch of them because, you know, honestly, I just don't have that many like cards to send that say you light up my life. So it's kind of like, I don't know how often I'd use that one. We're gonna put another star on there, and let's see if I can peel this one up, because I think I want to put my strip right across here. Yep. So let's put some foam tape under this to lift that edge up that's hanging off, so we have a little bit of balance for it. It's not just kind of dangling there and nowhere. Goodness, there we go. And then just a little dab of glue over here. And I'm going to put this down fairly low because I want to make sure I can see most of those. And this tape, or this foam, is just not quite thick enough. I think I'm going to double that up to give it a little bit more height to match up better. You can also always just add some cardstock to give some extra lift. There we go. That's much better suited. Now let's see if we can find another home for this star, and I think I'm going to put one up there to kind of balance that out. So there's a very simple shaker card. You light up my life, and let's go ahead and go through the alternatives that I made earlier. Share those with you. So this one I did a lot of embossing. I used some white embossing powder, and I put the little fireflies, lightning bugs all over the base of some Coastal Cabana, and then I cut that panel down to a smaller size. I put some of those inside. I had a little one just escaping out the top of the jar, and then some on the outside, as well, scattered a few of those stars across there. And this one I did not put a sentiment on that one. This I used the bag, and I used it more as a stencil. So I put it over the piece of a white piece of cardstock over the top, and then I used my Mermaid Lagoon Distress Oxide ink spray, and I sprayed that through, and then I flicked some of the Real Red marker on to get some blue and red in there, and then I came in with red and Real Red and Night of Navy and added some of those fireworks around the outside and some red rhinestones in the middle, a little mounting with Real Red. And that's the only one of the bags I used was to do that. I'll probably do something else with those bags, and I will try and do another video to show you what I come up with for those. This one I just kind of flipped from what they had suggested on the panel on the ideas that Stampin' Up! Gives you. They had this down at the bottom, the orange, or the Coastal Cabana, and this going across the bottom of the card. I thought this looked more like water to me, kind of as if you were looking out on a pier, or maybe in from the water into the pier. And so I just put some little, use that gel pen again to put a little bit of white in there to give the look of some waves, and then just put a few sequins up in the top there. And this one, I did not do a sentiment on this one either. This one, I rounded my corners again on the card and used one of the bases, again, used the gel pen to create the little trails from the lightning bugs. And then I used that firework kind of burst pattern. I think you could use them for sparklers as well, and put 3 of those in to mimic flowers. And then I just used the straight line and then drew in the flower petals. Used a 1/2 inch circle punch to punch 2 circles for each of these. I mounted them on top of each other, the cardstock, just to give a little dimension, but not too much of that popped up. And then drew in some grass down here, and I just thought that looked like a pretty little summer night in a flower field. So think of your stamps in different ways, not just what they're intended for. So this one I just had fun, again, with some embossing powder, doing all the white and putting some stars in the middle there, and then adding this little lightning bug on the corner and the star there. This, I took some of those lanterns, I wove the thread that's included in the kit through at an angle, cut off part of my sentiment strip, and then balanced the sentiment strip out with some embellishments in that top left corner. And the last one I used just some tone on tone. So I've got my Calypso Coral card base and Calypso Coral ink, and I used the little stamp that's like a little burst pattern here, and I put that all over, randomly stamped the back of this panel, and then I cut down a strip to mount the little roller coaster and Ferris wheel scene on there, and used a piece of the excess to have a sentiment strip stamped again in tone on tone using the Coastal Cabana for It's a Party. and mounted this up on some foam tape, finished off with some of those gold stars. So I hope you enjoyed these 9 samples of some alternative ideas with your paper pumpkin kit. If you haven't checked them out, they're a great value, and let me know, what is your favorite card of these alternatives that I did? I guess, there we go. I was like, did I only have 8? There's 9. One was hiding on me. Let me know which one's your favorite idea, and let me know what other card kits that you enjoy. I have a couple of others that I have subscribed to, and I share those on my channel too. So make sure you check those out. And until we get together again, don't forget to grab your paper, stamp, and ink and do something creative.